am Francisco Ruiz, the author of PassLok Privacy App, which is now in version 2.0. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the new features of version 2.0. First, you can see that it begins differently. The welcome message is in the key entering screen, and now you are given the option to remember the key. Now, the key will be remembered for just 5 minutes. If you do not click this, but if you do, it will be remembered for the whole session, so you won't be asked over and over again for the key. The moment you leave, though, the key will be forgotten as usual. Let's try to enter my key, and let's see what happens when I say OK. It complains because I did not type the same key as before. That's a new feature, so that you cannot enter a key erroneously and be working with it and sending messages that depend on that key, which is really a mistake. So it will complain if it's not the same as before. That doesn't mean that the key is stored. The key is not stored, but the lock is, and that's how PassLok knows that the key was not correct. So let me enter the right key. All right. Now you can see that it's given the grade of overkill. That means that it is really good. If you're really curious, PassLok is now measuring the entropy of the key, and it gives you a score. There are 5 different levels of score, depending on how good it is. Let's try to remember it. Okay, so now the message telling me that it will go after 5 minutes has disappeared, and it took it. Observe that the interface also is a little bit different. There is tabs. There are tabs here which were not there before. There are fewer buttons, and there is this little box that I will tell you about in a moment. So the tabs are the main tab where most of the stuff is done, directory tab, which used to be called the logs screen, where you enter logs. Options has all the little buttons and radio that were in different places before. There's a few more. And then the help has been moved completely to a help screen. It's very comprehensive, where everything is under one. And to help you, the titles can be searched on a search box. For instance, if I look for signed, it takes me straight to an item that has to do with that. Okay, let's go back to the options. The first couple items are about the interface, whether it's the basic interface with few buttons or the advanced interface that has a lot of buttons, like here. You have all these buttons, you have even more buttons. Let's go back to basic. Then the locking mode, it could be anonymous, could be signed, or PFS as before. All the other modes of locking are here, and there's a couple of extra modes. Check key has to do with checking the key when you enter it. So if you have difficulty because your PassLok does not want to recognize your key, and you really want to investigate that, you uncheck this and it will let you enter whatever key you want. ezLok has to do with a new look for locks. Let me show you. Locks now are made from this special button on the main screen, and this will display my lock. By default is an ezLok, which is slightly longer than the regular lock, but it is much easier to read. It contains essentially no capitals and just letters and numbers. So you can actually read this over the phone, you can read it in your video, so much easier. You can still use the old style of lock by unchecking ezLok check. Then you have 2 extra buttons here to help you in changing the key. If you decide you want to change to a different key, this will not only make a lock for that key, but also re-encrypt your complete database of logs to the new key, which is a difficulty that existed in the previous version, that if you wanted to change your key, well, your directory was still encrypted with the old key, so that was a problem. No longer. This will help you to reset and back up your options. And then the dialog for entering files has been moved to the options screen. Directory is the same as the log directory before, except that the button to access the general directory has been moved to the bottom. And then you have the main. The main screen, now he has this box here, which wasn't there before. This will allow you to select a log from your directory very quickly, so you can use it right away. You don't have to go back to the directory, enter it, find it. They're all here listed. And if you want to select several, you can select several just as easily here. Let's say, for instance, that I want to send a message to myself. So I select myself, and I just write, hello myself. If now I click lock, it locks the message using the default type of encryption that was selected, and here it is. If I want to read it now, I don't even have to have anything selected. I can just click in lock, unlock, and here it is. So I hope that you enjoy PassLok version 2, and thank you very much for listening.